Hello, welcome to Rando Tech Info, and today we're in one of my alternate mobile studios to talk to you today about the Axon 30 Ultra. With LG leaving the US smartphone market, the flagship space in the US is looking a bit sparse, but things have been looking up a little more recently with the ROG Phone 5 coming out, with the OnePlus 9 series coming out, and now with the Axon 30 Ultra. So on paper, the 30 Ultra is a true flagship. It's got three, count them three, 64 megapixel cameras. It has the latest Snapdragon 888 processor, a big 6.67 inch screen with a 144 Hz refresh rate. Starting today, you can pick this phone up off of ZTE's US website for $749, and that's really quite reasonable when compared to a lot of other flagships with similar screen size. If you compare it to the S21 Plus, which is the closest comparison size-wise, it is significantly cheaper, and that model gets you 8 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of storage, although you can go up to 12 gigs of RAM and double the storage if you're willing to drop an extra $100. Speaking of extra costs, you know something that never costs anything? Subbing to this channel.
That's so true.
So will this phone work here in the US? Remember, in order for a phone to get reliable service here in the US, it has to meet two separate criteria. One, it has to be certified by the network carrier you want to use it on, and two, it has to have the hardware to support the frequency bands that carrier uses. So for certification, ZTE says the phone will work on T-Mobile and AT&T. So if you have either one of those carriers, you should be good to go. The phone will not be certified to work on Verizon, so unfortunately, if you're on Verizon, this phone will probably not work for you. Now, as far as frequency bands go on AT&T and T-Mobile, with 4G, you're looking pretty good. So on AT&T, it uses 5 out of 9 of AT&T's 4G frequency bands, and that may not sound too great, but it uses all of their major frequency bands. So obviously it will depend a little bit on where you live, but you should get decent coverage in most places 4G wise with AT&T. And the story is the same for T-Mobile. It uses 4 out of 6 of T-Mobile's 4G frequency bands, but once again, it uses all of their major frequency bands. So your 4G coverage, once again, it will somewhat depend on where you live, but your coverage in most places should be acceptable. So the story for 5G is not quite as rosy. So on AT&T, you're not going to get any 5G, no millimeter wave or sub-6. On T-Mobile, you will not get sub-6 or millimeter wave, but you will get their mid-band 5G from band 41. So if you get good mid-band 5G coverage from T-Mobile and 5G matters to you, then this phone might be an option. But honestly, if 5G is something that's a high priority to you with your next phone purchase, then this phone is probably not the way to go, even with its somewhat reasonable asking price. The last piece of information I'm going to leave you with about this phone is a good piece of information. That is, it is available on the US ZTE website, which means if the phone doesn't work for you or you're not satisfied with its coverage, you should be able to return it for a full refund. This is different than phones that you bring in from overseas using third-party sellers. Those phones usually can't be returned. So with this phone, the risk is somewhat low. If it's something you're really interested in and you're on AT&T and T-Mobile, and like I said, 5G is not a super high priority for you, you can go ahead and roll the dice, try it out, and you can always return it if you're unhappy. Well, that's all the information I have today about the Axon 30 Ultra. If you do wind up picking up this phone, please come back to the channel and let us know down in the comments who your carrier is and where you live, so other people can learn from your experience and make wiser buying decisions. As always, I hope you found this video useful. Thanks for watching, and until next time, this is Rando Tech Info, signing out.